Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Tuesday, the 29th day of March, 2022. I hope that you all today, as you're watching this, are safe and healthy today, and that you and your family are not only safe and healthy, but that the needs of you and your family in terms of food and shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field and those who are the first responders, trying every day to save lives, even sometimes risking their own to do so. Blessings upon those that pick up garbage to keep streets and sidewalks and highways clean, and those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings upon the men and women trying to help deliver and rescue the children, the toddlers, the teenagers, and the adults who are the victims of pornography and child pornography, the victims of prostitution and child prostitution, the victims of human trafficking and sex slavery, child molestation and pedophilia, and double curses on the profiteers, the perverts, and those that are trafficking in this human misery. Finally, blessings upon those that are homeless. And there's nearly 600,000 men, women, and children in the United States this morning without a roof over their head, and millions upon millions of people around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. There was a basketball game last night. It was a rare game. It was a rare game. Usually, as I said, Deuce McBride is my bellwether. Well, he only played 7 points last night, and the Knicks won a very close game. But I'm not complaining this morning about Deuce McBride playing only 7 minutes. And the reason I'm not complaining is because I could justify this from last night because it was a rare game. Alec Burks went off last night. And when you see your starting point guard, whether he's a point guard for real or not, going off like that, you have to keep him in the game and you have to feed him the basketball. And that's what they did. And that kind of plays into what Thibodeau wants to do anyway. So it worked out. And Alec Burks played 42 minutes. He ended up with 27 points. But it was the key points of the game, the beginning of the game and the third quarter, which are the Knicks' Achilles heel, that Alec Burks was really giving that impetus that we needed, the Knicks needed at that point in their weakest areas. R.J. Barrett, 28 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. R.J. is becoming a regular force. 21 years old. He is really the face of the franchise at this point. Just being real. I don't know what it's going to look like long term, but it is obvious they're going to build around R.J. Barrett. They're going to give him the extension. I'm not sure what the number is going to be on the extension, but he's going to be handsomely paid this summer. And and I'm glad we have him. He's nowhere near his prime right now. Usually a kid that comes out that early, though, does hit their prime earlier than a guy. Look, when a guy comes out at 21 or 22, he's going to hit his prime normally at in the 27 age, area, 26, 27, 28. Well, RJ, because he came out so early, he was, I think 18 when he got drafted. He was 19 his first NBA season. He'll probably hit his about 26, a little earlier, but still we're 4 or 5 years from that. That's, you're talking about his best years, not even close to it yet. And so, we have a promising future with R.J. Barrett. Mitchell Robinson, what can you say? I mean, first of all, stat sheets don't always tell the story with Mitch Rob, because when you're dealing with the center, the 5 position, if you're talking about defensive anchor, it's how many shots does he alter? How many times does the opponent have to alter their offense because they'll get in a position where he's there and they don't want to try to shoot on him because he'll just block the shot and sometimes cause a fast break. But last night he had 16 boards. The biggest stat for Mitchell Robinson is the offensive rebound production, which is definitely he's top 2 or 3 in the league in offensive rebounding. So he got 8 offensive rebounds last night. The Knicks had 46 rebounds. They weren't great, but then Chicago is not a great rebounding team. They only had 6 offensive rebounds last night, even though they had 47 total. They out-rebounded the Knicks, but offensive rebounds are a killer because that's where you get your second and third and fourth shot opportunities. Early in the game, the Knicks missed 4 shots on one possession. And that might sound bad, but they had 4 opportunities. And I thought to myself, if they keep getting a lot of opportunities like that, that's going to bode well. Any NBA team that you give that many opportunities to is going to score, So I was very pleased. And of course, Mitchell Robinson mentioned after the game that that's a purposeful thing on his part because of that, because of the fact that he knows he's giving his offense more opportunities to score. That's why offensive rebounding is very important. So he had 12 boards. He had 3 blocks. He had 5 personal fouls, but he was a force last night. He was a force, especially down the stretch when Levine and DeRozan were doing their thing. So that was huge. Burks, I mentioned. Fournier, of course, he disappeared last night. But you get that from that spot. And that's why I say, as great as he's been as a shooter this season, and you can't deny he has set the Knicks record for threes in a season, I think the Knicks have not had a legit wing shooter, a legit knockdown shooter. I mean, we had Bullock last year, and he was good, but he's a defensive player, Bullock, and he is a perimeter player, but he's not like a premier shooter. When I think of premier shooters, right, we have one. Quentin Grimes. So last night, Grimes was out. But, let's say Fournier gets 25, 30 minutes a game, right? If you start with training camp understanding that Quentin Grimes is going to be your starting 2 guard, and you gave him as many looks as you're giving Evan Fournier, I want to tell you something right now. He will break the Knicks record next year for threes. He will break the Starks and Fournier's record next year if you give him those opportunities. Okay, and he doesn't get hurt. One thing about Fournier, unexpected things from Fournier and Burks that I didn't expect this year. Neither of them has been out any length of time. Like I don't think Burks and Fournier missed more than 5 games together. So I mean they've been very healthy this year. As we know, Grimes is out. He may be sitting for the rest of the season because of the knee. I mean, it's not a serious knee injury, but it needs to rest. We don't want to play with him because, mess with him because he's a definite future piece for us. And so, but if you gave him a training camp as a starter and you put him in Fournier's spot, he will get 223. He would do that, yeah. And I don't think he would disappear as much. And of course, the defense is going to be double better, with Fournier, with Grimes. He's a real defensive player. So, the future is bright at that spot. So I'm not worried about Fournier as much, whether he comes back or not. And Jericho Sims, he didn't score, but he was active. And that's, again, the stats don't always tell the story with your 5 spot. So he was very active. He was, hustling. I love the energy that he brings. Of course, the athleticism is off the charts. But he plays both ends of the floor. And a lot of people like to focus on what he doesn't do. He needs an offensive game and he needs that, just like Mitchell Robinson. Let's focus on what he does do to help us win. He definitely is, brings the effort. He definitely he's bringing the defense. He's intimidating. He's doing all that he can. Vucevic is, every game there's somebody that we know from history to be a Knick killer. Vucevic, the Chicago happens to have 3 of them in Levine, Vucevic, and DeMar DeRozan. All of those cats over their careers on other teams even have hurt the Knicks, at different times. But Vucevic has been a killer. He usually kills us, man. I mean, I think he once had a 40 spot on us. I mean, he really, between Orlando and Chicago. But now Mitchell Robinson said last night, which is very interesting. He said, with my first 2 years, I was getting cooked. He said, but no more. He said, that ain't happening no more. And he was right. Like, Vucevic's numbers look good. He also had 16 points and 13 boards. He had 2 on the offensive end though, 2 offensive boards, and 1 block. He had a good game. But if you saw the game, you should see Mitchell Robinson was dominating him, and he was getting his numbers when Mitchell was out the game. When it was, on our rookie, he was getting his numbers on our rookie. But Mitch Rob ain't having it no more. Pay that man. So, and of course there was McBride. Even at 7 points though, just the activity, the defense. He's just getting more comfortable each time he's on the floor, more aggressive. Even though they're really giving the ball to quickly a lot when McBride is the real point guard, but it's okay. His time will come. His time will come. I thought it would be now, but as we know, that story with Thibodeau. We'll get into that in a second. But Emmanuel quickly, 27 minutes. He 1 of 5, 1 of 3. Again, stats don't really tell you all, but he did not shoot the ball well yesterday, and he was surprisingly missing shots from the foul line, which we're not used to seeing because Quickly's a 90% foul shooter. But he was 5 of 7 from the line. He had 8 points and 4 assists, but he's a threat. And that's the thing about him. He's a threat. He's not somebody that's like last year we had Elfrid Payton, and he wasn't a threat offensively. Elfrid Payton, because it was like 4 and 5 offensively. Elfrid Payton was really good defensively for the Knicks, which is to me the most important thing. But Quickly is getting better on defense, and he's a real legit threat offensively. So if you don't watch him, he's going to hurt you. Between his floaters and his threes, he's really going to hurt you. And he made the big pass at the end of the game to Alec Burks, driving, penetrating, getting the ball out to Burks in almost the exact same spot they did Sunday night in Detroit for Burks to hit the dagger at 22 seconds left. So, Quickly, I would say he played good because even though his stats doesn't say he played good, I say he played very good last night if you saw the game. And obviously, I would love him as the point guard. But if you're going to have those two, Burks and Quickly, I'll take Quickly as the point guard. But it is what it is at this point. I think next year this is all going to change. Toppin. So we drafted Toppin 8th overall. Okay? He was drafted to be the starting point of power forward. But they, got Tom Thibodeau. You know how he treats rookies. So last year he was getting, spot minutes. Then at the end of the season, getting a little bit more spot minutes. And then this year he started with 8 minutes. You saw him get 8-minute games, 7-minute games, then 12 and 15-minute games. Then COVID came, and he had to start because Julius Randle was out with COVID protocol. And he showed flashes of what most of us who actually saw him at Dayton, watched his film, knew what he was capable of. When Obi was coming out of Dayton, the issue was defense. It was not offense. I thought Obi was a 3-level scorer coming out of Dayton. He just needed the time, and as any rookie, he needed the development. He was an older rookie, but a lot of us saw a lot of potential in him. But because of the limitations placed on him by Tom and the enormous amount of minutes given to Julius Randle based on his last year performance, Obi couldn't show much, And he's a player that needs minutes. He needs to get into the flow of the game, especially when you're coming out of college. Any player that's coming out of college that's played, especially Obi, played a couple of years at the top level of college. Division I college basketball as the man, college player of the year, his last year. They're used to playing heavy minutes, right? In college. And so that means they're used to playing 30, 35 minutes in college. And so that means they're used to a rhythm. Same thing with Miles McBride. In fact, Walt Frazier mentioned it last night about McBride. He said he's used to playing 35 minutes. He's not getting that now. But if he did, Clyde said, and Bream said, he'll put up similar numbers. And he said, you're getting glimpses of it in his G League number because he's getting the minutes. And that's the same with Obi. So he wasn't getting the minutes. And then it really is amazing how some fans base a guy's ability on just 8 minutes or spot minutes. You can't, especially a guy like Obi Toppin. He needs to get into the flow. And his game is completely different than Randall's game. I mean, he's more of he uses his speed. Randall's game is power. That's Randall's game. We'll get into him in a second. But Randall's game is based on power. It's not based on speed. He's a power player. He'll bully you, and he should. He's 260 pounds of muscle, man. So that's his game. But it's like the difference between a dude that's a bear and a dude that's a cheetah. That's Obi. Obi is speed. He gets you with the speed. He beats you down the floor. Even when in the half court, he can get, once he catches the ball in the half court, he can get to the basket very quickly, And, of course, we know about his jumping ability and his dunking ability, the finishing ability. And so what he needed, though, was the time, the reps, so that he can show that he can shoot the basketball. Because he can shoot as we see, he can shoot the basketball. He just needs reps. So he played, and then last night, so Randall plays 28 minutes and Obi plays 20. That's the 48 minutes at the power forward spot right there. So if some of you remember, I wanted those type of divisional minutes. I wanted that ratio in the beginning of the year, but all of us laughed, including myself, because we knew Thibodeau wasn't going to do it that way. He rides his 5 guys as if they're the only 5 he got on his, on his team. And, the bench just comes in whenever. But last night, Obi got 20 minutes. He got 17 points. He was 3 of 6 from 3, 6 of 11. He only had 2 rebounds, but he could rebound the ball if you need him to. If you played him 35 minutes, he'd get you about 7, 8 boards a game. I mean, I'd say he's a Mari Stoudemire type with the boards. That's like a Mari. 7, 8 boards a game. Not the strongest. Like, he's not a 20-10 guy, but he's a 28, guy, 20.8 rebound guy if you give him those full-time minutes. And he was killing last night. And why? Because he had point guards looking for him. That's it. You give him a point guard and he'll flow, man. He's going to flow. One thing that's consistent with Obi Toppin is energy. The whole flow of the game changes when he comes in. He's one of the captains of Mobb Deep, because when I call them Mobb Deep, is because you could feel a different energy all year. But in the earlier part of the year, you had him and Derrick Rose, right? With Quickly. That was really, and then you had Burks at times when they would run him on the Mobb Deep, which I think is his optimum, And Obi is one of the reasons for that energy. I mean, it just changes. The whole vibe changes when he comes in the game. And he's just got that type of attitude. He's just, really nice dude, man, So that's what happened last night. And the vibe changed, man. And he came and did his thing. Now, Julius Randle, he's all messed up. I mean, last night, if you noticed, I didn't listen to the post game. I just listened to Thibodeau. I caught Thibodeau's conference after the game and not Randall, Robinson and Mitch Rob. I heard them. That's it. But after the game, right, it was like, I don't know, he had gotten the rebound, like 3 seconds left. And it was almost a situation where he was walking off the court. The time hadn't even expired yet. It was almost, I was like, man, wait for the time to expire, because if he throw it back in there, the game's not over. Even though, we was up. But he walking off the court and just threw the ball and just went into the locker room. Like, he didn't celebrate with his teammates. He didn't shake hands with the opposition. I'm sorry, this guy, I'm tired of his attitude, man. I don't care what the reason is. I don't care what it is. I don't care what's going on in his private life. It's completely unprofessional. Period. Okay? I mean, he has shown us time and again that he's aloof when it comes to his teammates. He's aloof. He has left teammates on the ground without helping to pick them up. You see how all the Knicks, even guys on the bench, if one of the Knicks fall and they're on the baseline and they fall, you'll see guys from the bench come over to pick them up. They run over because that's team. This dude here, though, we've seen him leave teammates on the floor. We've seen him swat people's hands away. He's got to go. Period. I don't care if he gets 40 Wednesday night. I don't care if he gets 40 and 20. He has to go. In fact, I hope he does, because then it'd be easier to trade. He has to go. I don't care. And I was last night The first thing gets me, you want to get me out my chair, TikTok? Let a guy just stand there on defense and let somebody go by him. Ayu DeSumo had beaten, I don't know who was guarding him off the dribble. I think it was Burks. Had beaten him off the dribble, right? Some of y'all might have saw it. It was in the first quarter. And he's coming down the lane. The only guy there is Julius Randle. And Julius Randle, all he has to do is take a step to his left and a step forward. And he would have impeded the process of the sumo. No. As he's done since I've seen him, since he was in the Lakers, he just looked at him. Just looked at him, period. And let him it was like a layup line right there. Okay? See, and the thing that somebody told me that Tom yelled at him for that. I didn't see it. And somebody, if you could show it, if you got that clip, please show it to me, because I was like, are you kidding me? No, seriously, are you kidding me? And Tom called timeout, but I didn't see him yell at Julius Randle. And I was like, what? that, and I can't even speak on it, man. I could put up with a lot of crap, but no effort at all on the defensive end. That's what caused Fournier to lose me for a minute, because he was doing that Matador defense all season. He's playing a little better now defensively. He really just doesn't have the NBA level defensive ability. He doesn't, but he tries. Now, anyway, and he can play passing lanes. He plays with his head, Fournier. But he's got to go. Randall's got to go. There's just no question. He's got to go. So I was looking up last night. I was looking up expiring contracts. I was actually looking up expiring contracts while the game was going. I said, okay, let me see what can we get for this guy, because this is ridiculous. I'm tired of him. I'm tired of him, man. I was like, no. So I was looking at expiring contracts for 2023. So in other words, we want a guy that we can trade Julius for and take the contract and have it expire next year, right? So that because you gotta have the money work, right? So, I was looking at expiring contracts, man, and I saw a number, and all I was really looking for was anybody that was a forward. But you know what? It doesn't even matter. I mean, it could be, I don't care what position it is. I really don't care. 'Cause honestly, some of y'all get caught up, and y'all gonna get caught up when I'm saying this right here. But look, I don't care what position it is. They don't even have to play. I just want this cat off my team, and I want his 4 years off my team. That's it. I don't care who it is. Like the worst contract in pro sports is Russell Westbrook. Well, let me say, it could be Russell Westbrook or John Wall. One of them. But they're both expiring in 2023. I don't want Russell Westbrook. I mean, and the reason I don't want him, if Tom Thibodeau's the coach, I do not want Westbrook. And that's why. If Johnny Bryant's the coach, okay. Because Bryant is not going to start Russell Westbrook. Thibodeau will play him 40 minutes a game and tell us every press conference after we lose how great he is. Okay? No. But if he's gonna play somebody, like I was looking at some of them, like Wiggins is expiring, Durant is expiring. That doesn't mean anything to us, but because they're not coming here. But Russell Westbrook and John Wall, Kevin Love's expiring. See, he's coming off the bench for Cleveland now. I mean, and he's expiring, so we can use him off the bench and start Obi, right? Something like that. D'Angelo Russell is going to be expiring. Al Horford is expiring. Who else? Who else is expiring? And LeBron is expiring, but again, no. And then Harrison Barnes. I like Harrison Barnes because you could bring him off the bench. He's $20 million. He could be part of an overall package. I don't know if Sacramento would still want Julius after they just got Sabonis. I don't know, but I will offer it. I will offer it. Okay. Bojan Bogdanovic from Utah. He's expiring next year. Miles Turner is expiring, actually. Miles Turner is expiring. I know y'all going to jump on that. I don't want to hear nothing about Malcolm Brogdon. I mean, before you guys suggest players, please look at their injury history. Just look at that before you start suggesting. Some of y'all jumping all over Brogdon. The cat is peanut brittle. I mean, he's hardly ever available. So I don't want Malcolm Brogdon. Unless, in a selfish way, then I know Deuce would get starts. Because we're going to pay this dude $20 million and he's not going to play. But then again, like I said, I don't care. Maybe I do want him because if they're willing to take Julius Randle, go ahead. Give me Malcolm Brogdon. But he's not going to play a lot. He'll play half your games. Okay? Half. So if you want to see Deuce and and Emmanuel quickly getting turns at the starting point guard, you'll get that with Malcolm Brogdon because he's not going to play. But all of these guys are expiring. I don't even care. Just Danilo Gallinari, give me him off the bench. He's expiring. Jeremy Grant is expiring, but I don't think we're getting him. Now, I don't want to trade one long-term contract for another. I want to clear cap space here. Okay, so I don't care who it is. Okay, so we got a number of players. I just named you a lot of guys that are expiring. Terrence Ross is expiring. Jeremy Grant is expiring. Danilo Gallinari is expiring. Eric Bledsoe is expiring. Bogdanovich is expiring. Miles Turner is expiring. Malcolm Brogdon is expiring. Harrison Barnes. All of these guys in that $20 million range. Okay, you can add salaries and make the deal work. I mean, I just want them out of here. Just get them out of here. Al Horford's expiring. D'Angelo Russell's expiring. Kevin Love's expiring. Give me one of those guys. Give me one of them. Okay? And somebody last night kept throwing out Westbrook for I guess it was Randall and Fournier and somebody else. Fine. I just want this cat off my team and his attitude sucks. I mean, it's really, I don't want to hear nothing about nothing, man. His attitude sucks. It really does. And last night, you had Obi Toppin getting in the flow and helping us put Chicago out their misery. And I saw Julius Randle come to the scorer's table in the fourth quarter, and I said, no, this fool ain't putting Julius Randle in the game right now. Not only because Obi was going off, but Julius Randle stunk last night. Yeah, he got 13 boards, but he can get 13 boards in his sleep. He was causing more disruptions than he was helping. Okay? And so he come back in the game. And I was like, you know what? Thibodeau, he don't realize that. I guess he doesn't. I don't think some people has surmised that maybe he's undercover tanking. Thibodeau doesn't tank. It's just a stupid move. He's not trying to tank. He actually thinks he can win, in spite of a whole year's worth of evidence to the contrary. But anyway, I saw him put Julius Randle in the game, and I about lost I was like, oh my gosh, this cat here, man. And take Obi Toppin out of the game. Okay. Leon, I'm gonna be very disappointed in Leon if he don't get rid of this dude. This some. Get rid of him. I don't care what you got to do. There's too many. I just named you how many players expiring. I mean, when you include Westbrook and Wall, you got two. You got, that we can legit get, without it costing us nothing but Randall, Love, Russell, D'Angelo, D'Lo, Al Horford, Harrison Barnes, Malcolm Brogdon, Miles Turner, Bogdanovich, Eric Bledsoe, Danilo Gallinari, Terrence Ross. You got a number of expiring deals that you can get, okay? And get rid of this guy. Okay, it's not that hard, y'all. See, we can do it. It takes a little work, but that's why they pay Leon that money. He's supposed to get that done. So, I believe he can. That's got to be, to me, the number one thing we do. I don't think it's a stretch to understand that Nerlens Noel and Alec Burks are going to be traded. Alec Burks is valuable, but we got the young talent. You're talking about, once you trade Burks, you're opening up minutes for Cam Reddish. You're opening up minutes for Deuce McBride. You're opening up minutes for Emmanuel Quickly even. You're opening up minutes for some of these young cats that needs to play. Okay? everybody gets more minutes if you move Alec Burks, because that's one of Tom Thibodeau's security blankets. So you get rid of Burks, and again, I'm not worried about what we're getting back. I want the space because I want the kids to play next year. Period. I want the Knicks to make a decision to go young, and let's stop wasting time with these win now vets. Go young, play the kids. Okay. Now next year, you're talking about Grimes will be in his second year. Okay. Quentin Grimes be in his second year next year. Then and Deuce will be in his second year next year, right? We may not even need any rookies next year, but you get these two cats in their second year next year. And then you're going to have RJ Barrett in his fourth year next year. You're going to have Emmanuel Quickley in his third year. You're going to have Obi Toppin in his third year. You're going to have Cam Reddish in his fourth year. If you keep Mitchell Robinson by some miracle, you'll have a 24-year-old Mitchell Robinson in his fourth year? Yeah, it'll be his fifth season next year. Jericho Sims in his second year next year. You see all of these guys, even though they're young, they're not rookies. They'll be ready to play. And so let's go with these guys next year. You want to add a couple of other pieces, fine. We get another couple of young pieces, fine. But, and then I don't know which vet they're going to keep, but Nerlens Noel has got to go. We got Jericho Sims. We don't need him. And even if Mitch Rob walks, I really feel strongly that we could go get Mo Bamba. So now we're good at the 5. Julius Randle, get out of here. We could bring back any of them players I named that plays the front court. Any of those guys, they could back up Obi Toppin next year. Back up Obi, right? Give Obi those minutes. Fournier, all right, he's 50-50. We could keep him or not. If we don't keep him, Grimes steps into his spot. We don't miss a beat. In fact, I think we get better. Okay? We don't miss a beat. We get better. Because you got Grimes. And remember, you got Cam Reddish behind him. Okay? So, we'll be good. We'll be good. And then, now you got, as far as, you got Derrick Rose. You can keep Derrick Rose. I wouldn't mind keeping Derrick Rose. He's an expiring deal next year. Now, if we need him to get rid of Obi, unfortunately, I would do it because get not Obi. I said Obi. Randall. If we need Rose to get rid of Randall, bye. I'm tired of Randall. I'm finished with him, and so he's out as far as I'm concerned. So what we'll see, but I would like to keep a vet. I would like to bring Taj back on like a vet man. You need some vet. You need some vets that'll give you that mentorship. And that's why I really would like to keep Derrick Rose if I can, because he's aside from the fact that he still have ability, he's a really good mentor to the guards on our team. And so is Taj a good mentor to the players on our team. So that's why I would like a vet. I would like Mitchell Robinson to stay if we can get him to stay, and have him and Sims as a tandem, and then have a vet behind him like a Taj Gibson. That's what I would like the vets for, not for Tom Thibodeau to play them 40 minutes a night. As you saw last night, I don't think Taj Gibson played last night, and we didn't need him to play. And the thing I liked about the win, also aside from the fact that Burks actually played really good last night, and he's fourth quarter dude, always been, but the first quarter he started coming out strong. The thing I like is Chicago's a good team that had something to play for. This wasn't a meaningless game. They needed this win. They needed it, and the Knicks beat them. And they were missing Lonzo Ball, but they weren't. The Sumo's been doing more than adequate job, in place of Ball. And we beat them, so we beat a strong team on our home floor. We can't say that a lot this season, especially the Knicks playing as bad as they've been playing at home. So now the Knicks are 4.5 games behind the Hawks, and this is the math right here. A combination is 3 is the number. So a combination of 3 Hawk wins or 3 Knicks losses. So if the Knicks lose 1, the Hawks win 2. That's the mathematics that's done. So that's why I've been saying from yesterday's video, it's over. But of course, Tom is not going to do that. He's going to fight to the end. But so if he's going to fight to the end, at least we got Obi getting regular minutes. We got Deuce getting some minutes depending on the situation. He's got to come in. If Deuce hits 3 straight threes, he might get some time. Or he puts the lockdown on somebody, makes some steals, he'll get some time. But at least he's getting something, right? And I think management's going to have something to say about that after the season. But we'll talk about that. But and then you have RJ, the maturation of RJ at age 21. So those things, and Grimes is hurt, so he's not going to get, and Cam is hurt, so we can't do nothing about that. But the young players, we do see some, Obi, of course, his grandson gonna get his minutes, and then you got Obi, and then you got Deuce getting minutes. That's important right now. So, and then of course we know Mitch, Rob, RJ doing their thing as well. And the thing about Fournier is while he wasn't very effective, in his role as a shooter last night, he didn't kill us. He wasn't a big liability like he usually can be, like he was in the early part of the season. It was almost like he wasn't on the floor. You didn't hear nothing from Fournier, but that's good and bad. Like an offensive lineman, you don't want to hear the guy's name if he's going to be committing holding penalties, right? So you didn't hear him because he wasn't doing too many things bad. He's a heady player, Fournier. And he's not a great athlete, obviously, but he's savvy, very crafty, savvy dude. And so he wasn't hurting us. So, it was cool. It was cool with him. But Chicago now, they're in the 5th seed right now. And see, they're jockeying for position. They are right now battling with Toronto and Cleveland for like what 5, 6, and 7 spot. Yeah, that's Cleveland is a game behind them. Cleveland's in the 7th spot, and they want to get out the play in, right? So they got to move back up. So it's a battle between Toronto, Cleveland, and Chicago for that last, to stay out the play in. Okay, so they got something to play for. And look, the Knicks are playing good basketball right now. This is the first time in the season that they've won 4 straight. Last year, they had a few 3 straight games, and I was like, the sign that they really moving for the next level is when they went 4 straight. Then they went off. You remember like last spring, like in March, I think they were 9-2 or some crazy number like that. And Knicks really, turned the corner. Well, this year, unfortunately, it's happening too late, but they're doing the same thing. They won 4 straight. And who do they play next? They play against Charlotte at the Garden. Charlotte's another team. They're a good team. They're trying to jockey for playoff position right now. They're playing for something. So it's going to be interesting Wednesday night at 7:30 when the Knicks play Charlotte. We just beat Charlotte a week ago, but that don't mean anything in the NBA. A week can change. The whole world can change in a week. But let's see what happens. I'm very confident that we can beat them because I'm very confident because of the fact that I know we got a guard that can stop people at the point of attack. And Quickly's getting better at it, and Deuce is that dude. So that's important. And then, of course, I am hoping. Now, this is the problem. Julius Randle is the problem here. If he is playing, that reduces our chance of winning. And I know people don't like to hear that, but at this stage, he's in a bad mental state. That's what last night proved. He already got a bad attitude. And instead of being a good teammate, when he is not having a good game or when he is not in his rhythm, he gets real pouty and selfish, man. And so that's what he was last night. And what it is, this is the thing. Did you hear the scattering of boos at the Garden last night? When he came back in the game, there was a smattering of boos when Obi left. And then he comes in and turns the ball over, and the boos got a little louder. They didn't stay because then all of a sudden they went to cheers because the Knicks were trying to get the Knicks to win, and you heard the dun dun dun, defense, right? But the boos are already starting at Madison Square Garden for Julius Randle. Okay? And he hears it. That's why I really am strongly of the mind that they're going to trade him. So it's your own home court don't want you. And I got to give him a little bit, not slack, but I guess a little slack. I'm not saying anything I just said is untrue, but the problem is that it's affecting his game. See, so now he's discombobulated because they're booing him. The energy in the Garden is against Julius Randle right now. They're all in on Obi Toppin. They were shouting Obi last year in the playoffs at the few minutes he got in the playoffs. You'll remember. They love Obi Toppin, and for good reason. I mean, he's just a nice guy. He's a New York guy. He's top 8 draft pick. He's playing good. What's not to like? So they're going to encourage. And the thing about Obi, if he's not shooting the ball well, he's still hustling. He's still hustling if he's not shooting the ball well. He's still putting forth supreme effort on the defensive end. See? And y'all know New York is like this. No matter what the situation is. If we see you hustling, if you out there diving on the floor, if you running, if you trying your best and we see it, no matter if it's a overpay of a contract or you a star and you're not performing like we expect, they will respect. The New York will respect that. The Knicks fans will respect that. If you out there hustling and you just not getting it done the way we thought you was gonna get it done, but we see you out there busting your tail every night, the Knicks will respect that. But when you a prima donna and you costing us games, nah, man, that ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work at all. And so Wednesday night is at the Garden. So I don't know what's gonna happen. But when I saw him saunter off last night and drop the basketball and just walk into the locker room, walk through the tunnel without saying nothing to nobody, I was thinking to myself, he wants out. He wants out. I would not be surprised if his reps had a conversation saying after the season, get me out of here. And if they're now looking at what teams he would like to be traded to, like he's from Dallas, right? I don't know if Dallas is going to pay him. I don't know. Maybe they will. Or Houston. He's in Texas. Houston. San Antonio. Then, of course, there's contenders, right, that may want him. I don't care. Work it out. And I think he's probably talking to somebody like that because that's the situation right now. Okay? So we're going to see how this plays out, but it's going to be interesting in the Garden on Wednesday. The more minutes we give Obi Toppin and Deuce McBride, the more our chance of beating Charlotte on Wednesday. That's the bottom line. The more minutes you play Julius Randle, you can see it's pretty much an old story right now. It's so redundant that everybody sees it. The offense stops. The ball movement stops. Even if he scores, you just isolated 4 players. And that hurts you during the course of a game. And last night, there was one very significant thing I saw. RJ came down with the ball, and they're running the offense through RJ. And Randle was posted on the same side of the basket. RJ just looked at him and swung the ball the other way. And you could see the look on Julie's face. He wanted the ball right there. RJ did not give it to him. And we scored. Okay, he swung the ball the other way. I forgot how we scored, but we scored. And I was like, see, that's the change right there. He will post up. He will look for the ball. And in the time that he posted up, RJ made the smart basketball move because there was a guy shadowing the guy that he was posting up. It was like he was going to get the ball into a double team. And you know what happens when he gets the ball in the double team, right? So that's what I'm saying. This thing where he gets the ball and it's an ISO or clear out, that's finished. That's tired. That's done. That's old. You know, that's it. That's done. That's what you can say. That's played out. That's played out. It's played out. Okay. Or when he's trying to dribble up and he's turning it over dribbling into a crowd. It's played out. It's played out now. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. When I say, and then of course, the lack of consistent effort on defense. So that's what I'm saying. The more he plays, the less our chance to win. The less he plays, the greater our chance to win. The more you play Obi Toppin and Deuce McBride, the greater the chance the Knicks can win the game. Okay? That's what I'm saying. We could beat anybody. The Knicks can beat anybody in the NBA on any given night. When you have Mitchell Robinson, RJ Barrett, and all the young players that we have, they can beat anybody on any given night. They really can. And what we would all appreciate is on every night if you saw them busting their tail to win. The energy was being brought every night. See what I'm saying? We can all live with that, right? You get a bunch of young players and they're bringing that 100% effort every night, and maybe they're coming up short. You could live with that. It's when you're looking at the team and you're saying, dang, they really could beat that team. They're really better. And they don't show it because of the rate of rotations are playing and the veterans that don't give the whole effort or can't play one side of the floor, don't have the IQ. That's where you get frustrated. But they could beat Charlotte on Wednesday night. They really can. And we know they play better on the road. Julius usually plays better on the road because his own home crowd don't like him. Okay? So, anyway, the Knicks just won a back-to-back. They won their 4th straight game. And so, here we go. Wednesday night at the Madison Square Garden against Charlotte. I think they have again, the chances become greater the less Randall plays. Thibodeau's going to trot Randall out there. It's up to Randall, really. If he decides he's hurt, or if Leon decides to become a real president and say, sit him the rest of the season, then we can win the game. But in the meanwhile, y'all enjoy your Tuesday. Be safe out there. Shalom.